You all doing very well. The last time we met, we spoke about substituting values into an algebraic expression. Today we are going to continue from there, but here we are moving on into a different one, substrand. The algebraic expression was the second substrand for a strand algebra. So here we are still on the strand algebra, but the algebraic expression here, now we have the third substrand, which is variables and what? Equations. Variables, I told you what variables are. They are the alphabets that are found in expressions, algebraic expressions or equations. Now here in this section we shall find the unknown in a given equation or determine the value of a variable in an equation. So here we are going to, there is certain unknown that we are going to do for it. That is what we are going to do for this. And here when we talk about an equation is a numerical statement which involves equal signs. So they are statements that involves equal signs. They are mathematical way of telling something that involves what? Equal sign. An example is x plus 3 is equal to what? 12. This is an equation because it involves what? Equal sign. It is telling us something that involves what? Equal sign. That is the meaning of equation. Now, from here, we look at how do we find the variable, that is the alphabet that is found in the equation. How do we find it, the value for it? That is what we are going to do. We should be able to find the value for the alphabet given in every given what? Equation. And that is what we are going to do for this third substrand, variables and equations. So that is what we are going to do. And then we proceed to examples. Now if you look at the examples here, we have finding the value of a variable in equation. That's another indicator. That is the indicator we are going to deal with in terms of what variables and equations. So here we took some couple of examples here. Solve the following equations. 4 plus x is equal to 11. So we are going to find out the variable here, which is the s. And then when we look at the second one, which is x minus 3 equals what? 10. Here too, we are going to find the value for what? X. And then 10, well, which is 5y plus 7 equals 17. Here we are going to look for the what? The y, the value for y. So that is what we are going to do. Now, let's take this. The number one, solution. If you look at number one, 4 plus x is equals to 11. So here we are going to make sure that x stands alone. So here we still do the groupings, the like terms. On the here we can say it's like term. So you move the 4 to the 11. We are looking for x. We are going to make sure that x stands alone because we want the value of x. So please you move what? This 4 to the 11 because they are like 10. They are partners. They are all numbers, so they can join each other. But if you are moving a number that is positive across what? An equal sign, it becomes minus or negative. That is what you have to take care of. If you are moving a number which is positive, you know 4 here is positive. As it is crossing this equal sign, it becomes what? Minus, which is negative. So here if I'm moving with the right x equals to 11, the 11 should be there first because this is one, it is the 4 that is joining 11. So the 11 must come there before the 4 joins. And I told you that when you are moving a number across an equal sign, the number is positive, it becomes what? Minus. So 4 goes, you move 4 to this side. And that is why I moved. So 4 is no more than x, so 11 x. When you move 4 to this side, it becomes what? Minus 4. Then you know that when you subtract 4 from 11, what do you get? Yes. 4 from 11 is what? 7, right? So it means that x is equal to what? 7. The value of x is equal to what? 7. Now, what will make you, or what will help you to know whether the answer is correct is that if you like put 7 back to the equation, you put 7 here, it's 4 plus 7. And 4 plus 7 isn't 11, it means that it's equal. It means this side and that side, the left and the right side are what? Equal. That is what we call equation. The left side of the statement and the right side should be what? Equal. So here we have x is equal to 7. Are we okay with it? Or I should go over. Let me go over it again. I said that the first one, which is 4 plus x is equal to 11. We are looking for what? The value of x in this equation. So here, what you do is that you make sure that this number, which is common as the 11, because they are all numbers, they can join each other. But when you are moving a number across an equal sign, the number is positive, it becomes what? Minus or negative. Right? So here you are going to move the 4 to the 11. Because 4 is positive, when it crosses this equal sign, it becomes what? Minus. So here you have x, 4 has been moved. So left with only x equals to, please write the 11 there because it's the 4 that is joining the 11. So let the 11 be there first. Because 4 is crossing, it becomes what? Minus. I told you that when it crosses an equal sign, it is positive, it becomes minus or negative. Now here it means that 11 minus what? 4. So when you subtract 4 from the 11, you get what? 7. So it means that the value of x is what? 7. It is true. If you put 7 here, you get 11. And that is true. Because they are saying that if you add this 2, it must give you 11. So if I put 7 here, it doesn't give you 11, then the answer is wrong. So that is x. The value of x is what? 7. Are we okay with it? Okay, if we are okay, we move on to the number 2. We move on to number 2. So in number 2, we have x minus 3 is equal to what? 10. Yeah, it's so simple. I told that we are looking for x, so we will move the number to its partner here. So 3 is going to move to this side. And remember, I told that when it is positive, that if it crosses the equal sign, it becomes what? Minus or negative. But when it is negative here and it crosses the equal sign, it becomes what? Positive. So here it is x. 3 has crossed already, so it equals to 10. The 10 is supposed to be there because it is the 3 that is joining the 10. But because the 3 is minus, here if it crosses the equal sign, it becomes plus. So plus 3. And if you add 10 plus 3, you get what? 13. So it means that x, therefore x is equal to what? 13. Are we okay? Let's move over it. We are going to make sure we solve this equation by finding x. That's the variable. But you cannot find x unless you have grouped the line terms here, meaning that you have to set the number to its friend here, which is also a number. So when you are setting this 3 across the equal sign, because the 3 is minus here or negative here, when you cross the equal sign, it becomes plus. So we have moved the 3, so we left with the x. X is equal to, the 10 is already there and the 3 is joining, so we put the 10 first. And then the 3 is minus, so we cross the equal sign and comes what? Plus, so we become plus 3. And when you add 10 plus 3, you get what? 13. It is 30, x is 30 because if you put 13 here, look, if you put 13 here, because now the x 30, if you put 13 here and subtract 3 from 30, you get what? 10. And it's true. Because the question is telling us that when you subtract 3 from x, it must give you 10. And then now we have solved it and we realize that x is equal to 13. So when you subtract 3 from this x, which is 13 now, you realize that you get what? 10. It means the answer for x here is what? Correct. Are we okay with it? That is how we find values in what? Equations. Or we solve equations. We find the values in what? Equations. The variables in equations, sorry. That's how we find the variables in equations, the values for the variables. So that is for the number 2. We look at number 3, then we try the other questions, right? So here number 3, we have 5y plus 7 is equal to 17. Here we are looking for y, therefore we have to move the number there to across the equal sign to join its partner because they are numbers. They don't have alphabets attached to them. So remember I told you that when a positive number is crossing an equal sign, it becomes what? Minus or negative. So here 5y, the 7 is crossing to join its partner here. So it becomes 5y equals to 17 minus what? 7, because it's positive. So when it becomes negative. So you have 5y. Here you can't remove the y straight because it is attached to something. You have to just continue to subtract. So you subtract what? This number, so it can be subtracted, and that will give us about 10. Now, remember, equivalent ratio. If you want to find a number attached to what? Y, what do? You have to what? Remove it by dividing both sides. You have to remove, we are looking for y and we are not looking for 5y. So to be able to make the y stand alone, you have to divide both sides by what? 5. So you divide here by 5. Do the same here by what? 5. So that this 5 and this 5 can be cancelled out, leaving the y alone. Or like the y that we are looking for. So when you leave the y alone, y becomes equals to, you divide 10 by 5. And 5 goes to 10 how many times? 2. So it means that the value of y is equal to what? 2. That's the value of what? Y. Should I go over it again? Okay, let me go over it just once more and move. Now, this is what we are supposed to find, the y. By here, the y is attached to an alphabet, but this one and this one, they are common, they are partners, they are all numbers without variable, so you can join each other. So you move this one across to join this. You move it to join this side, the number here. And when you are moving a positive number across and equals and becomes minus or what? Negative. So you have 5y. It's equals to, because this has moved to this side, so it's no more there. That's why it's equals to 17. The 17 is there, and it's joined this plus, so it becomes what? Minus 7. Now, because 5 is attached to y, we still maintain that. So 5y. You subtract this number, because it can be subtracted, you get what? 10. But we are not looking for 5y, we are looking for what? Y. So to be able to detach or take away the 5, remember we did, I think we have done something like that. Because we want to take the 5 away, we divide the 5 both sides. So here to divide it by 5. So that this 5 can cross this 5 out, leaving the y alone. And when we divide 5 by 10, we get what? 2. So y equals what? 2. And it's correct. You will like, go and put it back here. Yeah, 5y will be 5 times y. So if you put in place of y, remember, substituting values into algebra. So here, no, this is not algebra. This is what? Equation. But if you substitute 2 into this, you get 5 times 2, which is 10, plus 7. It's not 17. So the reason y is 2 is because when you put y, the 2 here, you multiply 2 by 5 and you add it to 7, you get 17. That is why y equals 2. Are we okay with it? Okay, thank you very much. I'll give you some trial questions and you put your hands on. So let's try this question for me. Solve each of the following. 3y plus 8 equals 14. So here you go, remove the 8 to this side. You know it's plus. So remember, when the number is crossing the equal sign, it is plus. It becomes what? Minus. But probably I'll write it down there for you to take note of it. But here it's simple. K over 5 equals what? 5. So for you to be able to just get this, the k, because we are looking for k, simply multiply 5 by what? The 5, and you get k equals to the number. I won't tell you the answer. Now here too, we have done a couple of examples here. Here you know that it is x minus 10 equals to 8. So you have to send 10 to join what? The 8. And this is minus. When it's crossing the equal sign, it becomes what? Plus. Remember. So that is it. You solve it for me, and then you can send it through WhatsApp for me to determine whether your answer is correct. And if there is any question, you can also ask through the WhatsApp. Thank you very much. And we shall meet in the 4th week. We shall meet and then continue from there.